Morning, warm and clear. Blue sky reaches off into the distance. The malicious weather of the day before gone like a forgotten dream. Now the world is bright. Any and all things seem possible. The deep forest hums with the sound of the living. From the tall metal gates of the compound rolls a small 4x4. Inside its metal shell, 4 humans sit. The vehicle accelerates away from the place. Wheels spin, throwing dirt into the air behind. The group travels quickly through the jungle, thanks to the slim mud road. It meanders like a reddish river, leading them far inside the tribal territory. Seemingly endless, mile after mile of smooth dirt track. Ezra peers out at the expanse of foliage. Wondrous colors and tones flash past him. Bright flowers with huge flat leaves lean in their path, only to be slapped out of the way by the vehicle. Insects swarm in glittering clouds above the road. They dance on the breeze until they meet the screen of the off-roader. Musso drives, with Kay in the passenger seat. Behind them, Ezra and Malika sit. The small man casts furtive glances over at the girl, never letting it be known that he is staring, never letting his eyes rest on her for too long, as if she were the midday sun. For her part, the young lady barely moves. Hands clasp on her lap, fingers fiddle and rub against one another. Anticipation, fear, whatever you may call it, raises her heartbeat and makes her jaw ache with tension. The vehicle slows. Walls of wood and earth can be seen ahead. Kay whistles in contempt, rolling his eyes. "Nice digs," he says, quietly. Ezra leans forwards to gain a view. Structures like this weren't common for him. Painted wooden walls, gripped by creepers, sharpened stakes protruding from the soil around them. He marvels at the gates as they come into view. Painted animals of all kinds become clear. The small man jumps from the jeep first, gambling up to the gatepost to better see their wealth of carvings and paint. He runs his finger over them, inspecting the fine artistry. Then the other men step out, less excited by the prospect of entering the village. Malika forges ahead, though, leaving the men to wander behind her. Once past the gate, however, she stops, gasping slightly. "Where are all the people?" Ezra asks. Malika rushes away, poking her head into random huts. She moves from one to the next, forcing their doors open and shouting, looking for any response. Not a person or beast can be seen. Finally she reaches the communal area. No bread has been baked that day. No fires set or burnt. She strides out of the longhouse, making for her home. The men struggle to keep up. Then she spies it, a human form. Between 2 huts to her left, arms and legs with head obscured, covered by long grass. There's no movement there. The girl edges closer, noting the body's stillness. At 5 feet away she equates that it's dead. A nauseous thought, bringing with it a sudden sense of vertigo. Turning away helps, momentarily. Flashes of what she just saw insert themselves into her mind's eye. Images of boils, weeping flesh wounds, fingernails split, caked in blood and hair, crimson-streaked eyeballs, turned a filthy yellow somehow. The thing had been a man, but that's all she could glean. The flesh had grown putrid, savage bruising discolored it, his sunken eyes lost in the swollen purple face. The men react with great valor, only swearing a few times at the sight. Ezra gags in quite a gentlemanly manner as the smell reaches his nostrils. He steps away, embarrassed by his weak constitution. The other 2 just stare. Kay pulls a cigarette from a black and red packet, lighting it quickly. "What the fuck happened to him?" he asks.
Looks like he's infected with something. That's probably why this village is empty. They're scared of a virus spreading.
Muso answers.
Shouldn't we leave too, then?
Mumbles Ezra, still gagging slightly.
Ask her, Kay. Find out what's going on.
The men turn to find that the young woman has disappeared. The attention-grabbing corpse had let her move away without them noticing, its foulness strangely engrossing.
I'll go look for her,
Ezra says. The guards stay behind, leaving him to walk deeper into the village. There were so many things for his sheltered mind to dwell on. The village and its wild structures, the charred piles of wood, the paintings, the variety of different carvings and pottery, the smells, the sights. The man doesn't know where he's going. He has no frame of reference. He just follows a path, suddenly hearing a faint feminine cry. The sound is tracked, leading him past more empty homes, through slim alleys, finally reaching the largest hut of the village. All around it lies furniture, small wooden seats, beds, shelves, tables, with idols, vases and decorations piled up beneath the open doorway, all left in no particular order about the place. Sitting in the dirt, clutching at something, is Malika. Tears run down her face. Ezra's footsteps cause a moment's fright. She flinches, turning to see him. Now he can tell what she's holding. A circle of feathers, red in color. Meaningless to him, full of meaning for her. She turns her back and continues to sob. The little man, knowing not what to do, places a hand on her shoulder. He can feel her body shake as she cries.
What's up with her?
He hears Kay ask.
She's sad about something. I don't know what.
Ezra replies. Kay, in his usual kind manner, asks Malika what's wrong. She manages to say a few words between sobs.
Oh, she thinks her father's dead. They only do this to someone's house when the person has died, and this place is her father's. I think the feathers belong to him. Really? So is that where everyone is? At the funeral?
Ezra asks.
I don't know, I'll ask her.
Again Kay questions Malika. His words enliven the girl, giving her the drive to get up and investigate.
She says there's a burial area. That must be where the villagers are. Come on, we better follow her.
The group head back towards the village's entrance, between those two large stones, walking quickly. Removing themselves from the situation felt like the right thing to do. Only when they reach the area with the corpse do they slow.
Where's the body gone?
Ezra exclaims.
We moved it.
Muso states quickly, glancing over at Kay.
Yeah,
says Kay.
Tucked it away back there.
The group moves on. As they walk, Kay turns a few times to look back at where the body had lain, his face a picture of puzzlement. Soon they are out in the deep forest again, this time under their own power. The girl cuts through the dense foliage with grace, the plants almost kowtowing at her feet. For the men it was a different story. Every leaf and bloom was hostile. Ezra catches a sight of a large bug made exclusively of spikes. His pace quickens. The two guards thrash at the undergrowth, beating down the branches that claw at them, making a void, a pathway of sorts, through the thicket. After maybe 15 minutes of walking, the men start to sense something, a thickness to the air, a scent like none they had scented before. A few more paces and the group had arrived at the burial site. Insects swim in the area around their heads, the rich meaty odour drawing their hordes to this source. All around, amongst the grass and leaf litter, lie the dismembered limbs of countless humans. Flies gather, assaulting the flesh, feeding at the pools of gore. Hands, feet, heads with frozen, agonized expressions, torn skin and bones. Everywhere they look, another vision of hell. The soil underfoot is saturated, wet with all forms of bodily fluid. This place, held as sacred by the locals, would be forever stained, defiled by this act of barbarism. The usual bright tones of the forest have seeped away, leaving behind a world of grey and brown, the colours of decay.
Oh God, what is going on?
Ezra says into the hands that cover his face. The rest of the group spit and cough in response to the sickening sight. The reek of rotting meat permeates their nostrils. The burial area consists of 6 large menhirs or monoliths, similar in shape and size to the gateposts of Malika's village. Though these stones aren't decorated with prancing animals, they're barely decorated at all. Only small inscriptions with the names of the dead and images portraying their faces. At the center of this area is a stone hexagon made from the darkest granite. Its edges are steps that rise up to waist height. Then the thing becomes flat, with large flagstones making up the floor. Positioned at the middle of this floor is a wide hole with a small, sickly tree poking from it. Blood, dark and viscous, runs down the steps. The clotted mess, with lumps of viscera, colouring the dark stone, staining it forever. The trip back to the village passes quickly. Thoughts race through the minds of the humans. They become blind to the world around them. All the wonders and miracles of the jungle are overshadowed by fear. Birds call, insects hum, life carries on, for some at least. The group sights the walls of the village, increasing their pace. The little accountant Ezra breaks the silence.
Shouldn't we tell someone? Like the police or army or something? I mean, what are we going to do? The nearest town with any form of constabulary is Campbellstown. We can radio them from HQ,
says Muso.
Can't we just drive there?
Asks Ezra.
It's about 115 miles over that way,
Muso states, pointing his hand to the east.
It'd take all day to get there on these roads. It's easier to message them. Right, okay then. Should I look after her? I mean, I have room to spare at my place.
Ezra's innocent sentiment sounds like an excuse to the guards. Grins appear on their faces, minds full of cheap sexual illusions.
Oh, I bet you want to look after her,
Kay says between fits of laughter. Muso giggles too.
I didn't mean that. She just lost her father. It just seems like the right thing to do.
Their smiles fade slightly. The girl walks at the back of the pack. She wonders how they could be having fun at a time like this. The only one who doesn't carry on like an ape is Ezra, the little accountant. He appears to be as hurt as the girl. They jump into the waiting 4x4. The engine rumbles. Exhaust fumes rush out of the tailpipe. Their journey home begins. The guards argue with one another. Their conversation held in a language Ezra had no understanding of. He reverts to staring out the window. Forest views flow past him. Suddenly, the girl starts to shout. He turns to see her pointing aggressively at the guards. They shout too. Their foreign tongue must have been known to the girl. She understands what Ezra cannot. The vehicle becomes loud with angry yelling.
What are you arguing about?
He asks.
Nothing, man, don't worry,
Kay replies.
But she's so angry. Tell me what she's saying.
A look of guilt betrays Muso. His face tells a story that his mouth will not. Ezra knows this look. The men have done something to annoy the girl. He questions them again.
Tell me what she's shouting about. I want to know. We moved the body, okay? She's pissed because we moved the body.
Kay answers.
Why would she care if you moved it? Because she's a crazy bitch.
Kay adds with a sly laugh.
That's not true.
The group argue for some time. Ezra shouting in English at the men. They argue multilingually, using English to admonish the accountant, and their own tongue to curse at the girl. She wails at them in her own language and the tongue of the guards, using every foul word that comes to her mind. The use of various languages soon becomes treacherous. Kay, in a haze of emotion, accidentally alludes to a detail that Ezra had not previously been privy to.
He was already dead. Who cares if we mess with him? What?
Ezra exclaims.
We put a cigarette in his mouth. Made it look like the guy was having a party, like a drunk or something. It was funny, man, but she says we should be punished. And you pissed on him, Kay. That's why she's going crazy. I don't think she minds the cigs so much.
Musso interjects.
Why'd you have to say that? Huh? Always trying to make me look bad.
Kay shouts. You do it, bro. I wasn't the one who took a piss on a dead man. Anyway, that's not the problem. That's not why we're arguing.
Then what?
Asks Ezra.
It was gone. When we walked back past the body, where we found it, the thing had gone. Someone must have taken it.
Explains Kay.
That's weird. Who would move a body?
It is weird. Not quite as weird as pissing on a corpse, but still pretty weird. Musso laughs as he says the words.
Damn it. You're going to keep bringing that up, aren't you?
Kay shouts. Musso shouts back in their shared tongue. The vehicle fills with anger again. The group all shout in unison, screaming and hollering at each other with barely contained rage. The vehicle hurtles through the last few bends before the mining camp. Musso, driving at a speed not suitable for such a winding and poor quality road, slams on the brakes suddenly. The sound of metal crashing rings in the air. The 4x4 has hit something. Some animal, maybe. It slides across the mud track, slowing to a halt.
Shit. What was that?
Musso says. He pushes open the driver's door and inspects the vehicle. It's muddy, but mostly in fine condition. He circles it until he reaches the left wing. The man whistles at the sight of the damage.
That's going to cost me.
He groans. A deep dent has contorted the metal. Scratches rip up the paintwork, and smeared all over it was the deep, crimson blood from some poor unknown creature. Musso scans the area but sees nothing that could explain the crash. No animals anywhere.
How the fuck am I going to get away with this? They're going to fire me. I know it.
The large guard kicks the nearest tire in frustration.
No one was hurt. We're all fine. That's what matters. Let's take it easy from now on, yeah?
Ezra says.
Right. I suppose it could be worse.
Musso jumps back into the vehicle, starting the engine quickly. It rolls off down the mud track again, shaking slightly from the misaligned wheels. The group fail to find any subject to talk about. Introspection reigns. Soon the perimeter fence looms ahead. They all feel relaxed at the sight. They were home, back in the base. It offers safety and sanctuary to them all. But something is amiss. Kay notices first.
Where's the gatekeeper?
He asks. The man who opens the gate was indeed absent. He never left his post, or at least that's how it seemed. He was a permanent fixture, the first thing anyone saw on entering the area. As the 4x4 reaches the gate, the group peer into his little hut. Nothing, not even his clipboard.
Open the gate, Kay.
Musso commands. Kay sucks his teeth in a show of contempt, but he still goes to the gate, lifting it up onto his shoulder for the vehicle to slip under.
That guy has the easiest job in the world, and he still fucks it up,
Kay says. He hops into the passenger seat. The 4x4 moves on, continuing down the slope towards the compound. It's just visible on the horizon. Above it, a column of smoke rises. Black, acrid smoke, fueled by a large fire. The flickering light from the flames catches their attention. Then they understand the scene before them. "What the fuck?" Kay shouts with dismay. The buildings of the compound are engulfed in a firestorm. Explosions rip through walls, roofs collapse. They feel the heat, even from their remote location. The group step quickly through the corridors, swathed in smoke. Broken furniture is littered everywhere. The walls are decorated with fresh blood spatter, but no bodies can be seen. The compound's loud hailer system crackles and squeaks, sometimes cutting out altogether, only to turn back on with a loud pop. Malika and the accountant follow behind the guards. They charge through the debris, searching the places they go, checking for survivors or signs of life in every office and lab they pass. Ezra looks ill. Pale and dejected, with an anguished face, he falls to the back of the pack. The security office appears ahead of them. The two guards open the door and rush inside, leaving their allies in the corridor. Malika turns to see the little man. He looks quite pathetic, like a lost child. She walks over to him and starts to talk. Ezra is grateful. He takes her words as a sign of affection. However, they are not affectionate. The girl makes a joke at his expense, then laughs. He takes this in the wrong way too. Malika puts an arm around the little man and leads him to the office. But they don't reach it. They stop short. A sound can be heard over the speakers. A whistling. Though close to disrepair, the system emits the tune of "I've Been Working on the Railroad." Musso and Kay run out of the office. They hold a rifle each, and slung across their backs are two bags, bulging with ammunition and God knows what else. "The mics are at the front desk," Musso shouts while striding past. The group follow him into the smoke. A busy call center hums with chatter and ringing phones. Long rows of cubicles bristle with clerical workers. Administrative assistants run to and fro. One such worker rises from her desk. She grabs a sheet of paper from the printer and walks to the large office at the back of the room. Her knock at the door is greeted by a grunt. She takes it as an affirmative and enters. Her boss sits behind the small desk, leafing through some reports.
"We just had a call. I couldn't understand quite what they were saying. Bad line, I suppose. But from what I could gather, they said a village had disappeared, and that a mining colony is, and I'm quoting the caller here, absolutely fucked. What do you want me to do?"
A laugh leaves him. Without looking up from his work, he picks up the phone and waits for the operator. The guards run into the lobby, pointing their rifles at random points around the room. Malika and the accountant enter soon after. No one is to be seen. Whoever was whistling is now gone. "So what's next, boss?" Kay asks Musso with poorly veiled sarcasm. "We should leave. Let's grab a car and get the fuck out of here." He wanders through the glass sliding doors, making his way to the car park. It's scattered with vehicles. Glass shards from their shattered windows glint in the sun. One estate sits running with no driver. Doors open.
"Let's take this one,"
Ezra says.
"I don't know," Musso replies. "The owner might come back." "Good point. Okay, well, my car is just over there."
Ezra pats his pocket, checking for the jangle of his metal key ring. They follow him over to the vehicle, a tiny Japanese hatchback. The accountant opens the doors, then steps back.
"Good Lord, it's hot in there." "Why would you buy a black car in such a hot place, Ezra? Huh? You like sweating or something?"
Kay asks him.
"It's a rental. I didn't choose the colour." "Could take your car, Kay. Where is your car?" "Oh yeah, you don't have one,"
Ezra retorts. Musso starts to laugh. Then a loud crack echoes behind him. Ezra's windshield bursts into thousands of little pieces, The two guards jump into cover behind the brown sedan, leaving the civilians to linger in the open. Another crack is heard. This time a hole appears in the bonnet of the sedan. Sparks leap from the metal.
Get down, Ezra!
Musso yells. The accountant grabs Malika and pulls her behind his car. More gun claps are heard. Bullets riddle the doors and wings. Finally the gun falls silent. Musso pops up from behind the sedan. A lone man can be seen, an aged man with white hair and belly to spare. He's pulling the magazine from his pistol. The guard takes this opportunity. He rushes from his cover, sprinting across the baking tarmac. The shooter looks up just in time to see the guard's hands making for his throat. Musso grapples with him, forcing the man to the ground.
No! No! Stop! Get away from me!
Screams the white-haired oldster. Old man sits in the dirt. A crude set of handcuffs, made from Ezra's tie, bind his hands together. The group stand in a semicircle around him. Musso shouts, like a drill sergeant admonishing a lazy recruit. I'm a doctor, I told you. I'm a Christian missionary doctor. Red Cross. You heard of it? Now give me back my fucking gun. Bellows the old man in response. Not a chance. The only way you're getting this gun back is if I shove it up your ass. Now stop lying to me. You're no doctor. I was sent here because there have been reports of dengue fever. It's my job, okay? I left my car back there near the river because the bridge was torn apart. So I had to trek here. Then I was chased by some fucking heathens. Bastards tried to kill me. I thought you were going to attack me too, so I shot at you, okay? The old man has a pleading tone to his voice. Musso spits on the ground at the elder's feet. He gestures to the group to follow him. Once they are out of earshot of the strange man, he asks them a question. What do you think? Take him with us? Fuck that, man, shouts Kay. Come on, clearly he's just some scared old-timer, Ezra says. You don't think it's strange that a doctor has a gun? And how are we going to leave if the bridge is out? We can't walk to the city. It'll take days. Hey, there's someone over there, Musso says, pointing at the far end of the compound. A worker wearing bright orange overalls stands there. The guard tries to get the man's attention with a loud, shrill whistle, waving his hands over his head. Hey, over here, my friend, he calls. The worker spots them. He starts running, belly jiggling and arms flailing as he goes. Musso, thinking that this was a strange reaction, lifts his rifle. He peers down the sight, spotting the worker, noting the grimace of anger on his face. Then the man disappears behind a building. A great roar, like that of a lion, rips through the air. Another worker runs into view. He seems to be searching for the source of the roar. What are they doing? Asks Ezra. Let me go! Untie me quickly! They're coming! Let me go free, you fucks! Yells the Elster. Kafwimbi, if you could be so kind, Musso says to Kay with a smile. The smaller guard slides a bullet into the chamber and readies his rifle. Another wild roar echoes around them. Then the enraged workers arrive at the edge of the car park. Two lumbering hulks, both clad in orange, one fat, one tall. Upon seeing the group, their charge hastens. They howl and bray like wounded animals. Kay raises his rifle, ready to defend the group, ready to fire at these attackers. The first worker reaches them, and he pulls the trigger. Click. Nothing happens. Kay hasn't switched off the safety, a fact he learns with pain. The tall worker tackles him, hitting the guard with his full weight, knocking him and the rifle into the side of the car. The second worker, a whale of a man, is still quite a few meters away, but they pay little attention to him. Malika grabs the smaller worker and tries to pull him off Kay. Musso cocks his rifle, flicking the safety off. He holds the barrel next to the attacker's temple, then pulls the trigger. The head pops, like a flesh balloon filled with offal. Musso and Kufwimbi laugh heartily until they hear the second worker. He screams with rage. Musso turns just in time to fire. The lead projectile meets with the worker's mouth, collapsing the chin and blowing it out of the hole in the back of his head. The carcass falls, sending dust into the air.